Madam Clerk.
Here, you want to read it off here?
Sorry.
Tucker Whitman,
Here.
Andrew Dennison,
Present.
Ben Vitale,
Present.
Mark Farrell,
Here.
Paul Pickty's excused, Elaine McNabb Coleman,
Present.
Joseph DeForest,
Present.
Terry Baxter,
Aye.
Joseph Bennett,
Here.
Frank Reginelli,
Here.
Patrick Mahonic,
Here.
Timothy Lattimore,
Here.
Michael Didio,
Here.
Ryan Foley,
Present.
Keith Batman.
Here. Thank you. May we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And for a moment of silence, and please remember Richard Jones, the father of one of our councils, and of course Rosemary Donato, who was a longtime employee of the college. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have several proclamations tonight. If I could first ask Elaine McNabb Coleman to come forward.
I'd like to invite up Susan Rosinko to accept this proclamation tonight. I'm a district activist leader with the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, where I advocate for people living with MS in this congressional district. March is Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. Legislators and attendees have lapel pins on your desks in the shape of orange ribbons to mark multiple sclerosis awareness. Tonight, on behalf of the county, I'd like to read the following proclamation and present it to a fellow advocate, Susan Rosinko. Susan has been a relentless crusader with her efforts to improve the quality of life for people living with MS. In addition to spreading awareness with her personal story, Susan supports a local advocacy group called MS Resources of Central New York, where she and I have recently joined forces for fundraising for their annual walk, which was held on March 6th at Destiny USA. Susan has also influenced beneficial legislation for people living with MS across the state. She was instrumental in the passage of the Compassionate Care Act in New York State and continues to advocate for its implementation. Tonight, I salute Susan in all of her advocacy efforts with this proclamation. Cayuga County Legislator Proclamation for Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month 2016. Whereas New Yorkers place the highest priority on addressing health-related issues, including various forms of autoimmune and neurodegenerative conditions striking people of all ages, one of the most prevalent being multiple sclerosis, or MS, which is estimated to affect between 250,000 to 350,000 Americans, with an estimated 10,400 new cases diagnosed each year. And whereas a number of nonprofit health organizations, such as Multiple Sclerosis Resources of Central New York, which fundraise, and all of the money is kept right here in Central New York, and they just held their annual walk at Destiny USA on March 6th, as well as the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, they are dedicated to the ultimate goal of eradicating multiple sclerosis. And whereas the National Multiple Sclerosis Society is steadfast in its efforts to find cures for the disease through medical research and public support here in New York State, the Society serves 30,000 people living with MS by maintaining offices in Albany, Binghamton, Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, Westchester County, Long Island, and New York City to carry out its compassionate work on behalf of the individuals with the disease and to assist their family members. And whereas MS is the leading cause of a disability in young adults, and more than 10,000 Americans are diagnosed with MS each year, most between the ages of 20 and 40. And whereas New York State encourages research efforts and educational programs that address MS, and therefore supports observance that raise public awareness concerning such critical health matters as multiple sclerosis. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Eileen McNabb Coleman, District 6 Legislator, and fellow legislators, do hereby proclaim March 2016 as Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month in Cayuga County. Thank you very much.
I know there was a lot of support from the Morbido family here. Mrs. Morbido's here and the rest of the family. Congratulations.
So our next proclamation is relation to Andrew Fish. Andrew, if you could join us. We actually have two proclamations for Andrew. The one of them I will read, the other will be more brief. We can do the whereases in one of two ways. I can just read through this and you all can understand that they're whereases. Or if you want to do a participatory kind of thing, what I can do is read it and go, and you all go whereas. So which do you prefer?
Participant.
Okay, I'll just read it. I'll start with one whereases, but there are a number of them. Whereas, in our democratic society, it is an important civic responsibility and a great honor for any governmental body to grant public recognition, admiration, and gratitude to these very citizens who have helped to build this community and influence the future of its citizens. Andrew Fish has been director of the Cayuga County Chamber of Commerce since July 2009 and director of Cayuga County Economic Development Agency since November 2012. Andrew was the architect of the creation of the Cayuga Strategic Solutions, a joint venture which created an umbrella organization to leverage the resources of the Chamber of Commerce and CETA to maximize resources and focus on economic development in Cayuga County. Andrew has facilitated the attraction and startup of businesses throughout Cayuga County, and in 2015 alone, CETA assisted area businesses to create 118 new jobs, retain 115 jobs, and make capital investments in excess of $28 million. Mr. Fish oversaw the development of a one-stop structure of economic development and business service, making the process of finding and accessing resources more efficient for businesses of all types and sizes. Andrew has been an active member of the Central New York Regional Economic Development Council, where he advocated on behalf of Cayuga County at regional and state levels. Andrew has provided support, guidance, and insight to both public and private organizations and employers in the development of direction and policy related to economic development in Cayuga County and Central New York. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Keith Batman, Chairman of the Cayuga County Legislature, and fellow legislators, do hereby proclaim our gratitude and urge the residents of our county to join with us in recognition of Andrew Fish Day in Cayuga County, Friday, April 1st. The other resolution is very similar, except it adds the obvious, and that is to urge us to join the recognition of Andrew Fish, April Fool's Day, April 1st.
Going to be extremely brief. The last 6.5 years have been incredible. Been an experience that I don't think I'll ever have duplicated. Working with all of you to help see our community grow, to help see investments that were made that have created jobs, that have kept jobs, and that have really seen the reputation for Auburn and Cayuga County throughout this entire state grow. I'm not leaving. I'm just going across the county line. I will still be involved. I'm still committed to seeing my home community, Cayuga County, advance and continue to have great quality of life and wonderful opportunities for our residents. So thank you so much for the opportunity to serve. It has been an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
next proclamation is celebrating the Year of Diversity, and I think there's some people here to accept this who have been involved in the efforts in the drafting. You want to come forward? So I'll give each of you an opportunity to introduce yourself after we read this and to say a few words. Whereas the history of this community is woven into the intellectual, moral, governmental struggle of this nation to restore and safeguard the individual freedom of all its people. The struggle has thus endowed us with a unique passion for promoting intellectual, religious, and moral freedom. This passion is evident particularly in the works of the Auburn Theological Seminary, of Emily Howland, of William Seward, of Harriet Tubman, of Thomas Mott Osborne, and the works of others who are the inspiration of those who read this. We, the collective people of this area, wish to add our own passion to the work that has gone before us by committing ourselves now and in the future to honoring the spectacular nature and cultural diversity of this community. We are both informed and inspired by the nonviolent activism of Martin Luther King and his call to build the beloved community. We wish to acknowledge the ongoing inequalities and injustices which deprive each of us of the joy of living in a community with equal access to opportunities in housing, employment, public service, education, entertainment, social and cultural activities, and therefore the realization of our dreams. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Keith Batman, Chairman of the Cayuga County Legislature, fellow legislators, do hereby proclaim 2006 as the Year of Diversity in the County of Cayuga, in order that we celebrate a new beginning of efforts that harness our individual and communal passions, a new energy to an ever-growing spirit of inclusiveness, a new dedication to equality and justice for all people, and a new embrace of the diversity that enriches our community.
Thank you. I am so proud to be here with these two gentlemen. I'm the outgoing chair of the Harriet Tubman Center for Justice and Peace, and Sean McLeod and Rob Barnes are the new co-presidents coming in. And we are so excited. This actually, though there have been many efforts over many decades to bring people together and fight racism. We always need to rekindle that. And recently, the Auburn Public Theater wanted to bring more diversity to their audiences and called us in, and it's been fabulous. It's had a wonderful effect there and has had tangible improvement for us. So, and Sean would like to say a few words as well.
Sean never
Please.
says a few words.
He always holds the message, so.
Yes, I would like to say first, hey, how are you guys doing?
Great.
Hi, Sue. I think that this is a really pointed moment, and what I would like to say is that because this organization historically is not new, but this initiative is somewhat new, I want to say that I would like to accept for the Harriet Tubman Center for Justice and Peace this acknowledgement as a promissory note to what it is that we're going to do with your presence, your vocal, visible, and active presence in the struggle to make certain that everybody has access. And access actually is kind of confusing if we don't define it. And it really means inclusion. And inclusion is useless if you don't know how to do it. And that means 1, recruitment. 2 means making certain there's economic support for it. And then 3 is to promote, to go out and tell everybody about it. Treat it like Michael Jordan, right? You want to get him, you let everybody know it. You get him, pay him real well. And then tell everybody you're going to win, right? So this is really the process that we have to have in this community if, in fact, multicultural access is going to work.
if diversity is actually going to take hold and stay held, because all of us are affected by the concept of whether diversity works or it doesn't work. And if you don't wake up every day knowing what your fight is, I can assure you, you will miss when it's time to actually take defense. So I know nearly all of you. I have been affected deeply by nearly all of you. I look forward to what our next dance will be. You know I had to say that, right? And thanks so much for this time. Rob, a few moments? No, come on, Rob. Rob says, I got nothing.
So is this our final?
The final one we have to read,
Final
yes.
one we have to read. So this is the Oregon Donation Month, so if you want to come forward. Hey, Sheila's going to read this to save my voice, but yeah, I'm going to mouth the words.
All set?
We're set.
Okay, Oregon Donation Month, April 2016. Whereas through our membership with the New York State Association of Counties and our New York State Association of County Clerks, New York counties have come together to collectively to support Organ Donation Month. And whereas currently nearly 124,000 men, women, and children are awaiting organ transplants in the United States. And whereas organ, tissue, marrow, and blood donation are giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need. Whereas a single individual's donation of a heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives, donation of tissue can save and heal the lives of up to 50 others, and a single blood donation can help save 3 people. Whereas in New York State, there are approximately 10,000 people waiting for an organ transplant, which represents the 3rd highest need in the nation. And there is an estimated 500 New Yorkers that die every year while waiting for an organ transplant. And whereas the Cayuga County Clerk's Office, through the Department of Motor Vehicles, has partnered with the County Health Department, the County Wellness Committee to promote the month of April as Organ Donation Month, and will participate in many activities throughout the month in order to increase the number of organ and tissue donors and to promote awareness in Cayuga County. Now therefore be it that Keith M. Batman, Chairman of the Cayuga County Legislature, and fellow legislators do hereby proclaim the month of April 2016 as Organ Donation Month, and in doing so, we encourage all residents of Cayuga County to enroll as an organ and tissue donor at our local DMV office.
First of all, I want to thank our partners this year. We usually just do it in the DMV, but Kathleen Cuddy from the Health Department signed up to be a partner, and Deanna Hoy from the Wellness, now the WOW Committee, also signed up, so I want to thank them. And on your desks tonight, we gave you a card, so if you're not a donor, please consider it, and you just have to drop it off to me or at the DMV, and we can get you all signed up. I just want to say that New York State is great, but we do fall short when it comes to the amount of people that are organ donors. We're second from the bottom in the whole nation. That's really dismal. So New York State started this task force, and because Shireen and her staff at the DMV has done such a great job in the last 5 or 6 years, they chose our county to be on that state task force, so we're part of it. And we have challenged people in the county clerks. There's a couple county clerks involved, a county clerks challenge. But we want to win here in Cayuga County, so we want a lot of people to sign up to be organ donors. We're going to save a lot of lives. We're going to affect a lot of people. And I'm asking all of you to please consider it. And our DMV staff, they're trained to answer questions about it. We have donor people coming in to train them every year. There's forms right there for anybody in the audience who's interested. You know, folks, you can't take it with you. So let's try to make a difference.
Sue, with the renewal of the license, isn't it now mandatory that you say yes or no to donor?
Can they pass on that? they can skip the question, but they do have to look at it, I guess, before they could just, they made it a little bit harder to skip the question, let me put it that way. And there is legislation out there to give people who are under 18 the chance to be organ donors too. So hopefully that will pass. So April 4th is our organ donor, I always say cook-off, and it's supposed to be kick-off. So I'm so careful. Tomorrow on the radio, I'm hoping I'm okay with that. So it's our kickoff, and we have lots of things going on there, and we invite everybody who wants to come. We're going to have free donuts and coffee for anybody who comes in. It starts at 10 o'clock, and I'm sure the press will be there.
I think the other proclamations were already presented, is that correct?
Yes. Federation of New York Insurance Professionals Week, April 10th through April 16th, and Cayuga County salutes Paul F. Clark, Eagle Scout.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing on the local law allowing sparkling devices. So that public hearing is open. We had a sign-up sheet of those who wish to speak, but I suspect that there was some confusion, and anyone who wished to speak on anything signed this. So at this point, what I would entertain are anyone who wants to speak on the issue of the public law, the allowing sparkling devices to be sold in New York State according to the New York State penal law. Is there anyone who would like to speak on the passage of the law? Would you like to come forward? Thank you. If you could please state your name and your address.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for your time. My name is Melissa Caduti. I'm the Regional Director with TNT Fireworks and American Promotional Events. We are your partner with this within your county, so I'm here to answer any questions if you're able to or after, and provide you just some facts about the legislation that's put forward with you tonight. The governor passed the law in last November, allowing legal sparkling devices and ground-based sparklers to be removed for that description and legal in the county. There's 35 counties, since it's an opt-in law, that are legal out of the 57 that are allowed. Currently, this county would be our 36th that would now be legal if everything goes through tonight. Last year, we sold in well over 600 stores. Sparklers and sparkling devices. We're partners with Walmart, Target, BJ's, Sam's Club, and we also have a fundraising division. There was not one injury throughout the whole entire state, so that's great results. In 2000, we passed the same law in Connecticut, and injuries went down over 58%, because what's happening is there's legal product, ground-based, safe items that they're able to purchase here, so they're not having to go over the border to Pennsylvania or to other areas and purchase something that goes into the air is more dangerous. It's really important. It's American pastime. It shouldn't be based off of your zip code if you're able to do something if they go over. Right now, the surrounding counties, some of the surrounding counties around here are also legal. So it's, if they go over to, say, Macedon or somewhere else, if they're able to purchase it and bring it back. The products that are legal are non-aerial, ground-based handheld devices that are approved here. They don't explode. No skyrockets, bottle rockets, firecrackers. Also, what's more important, no lanterns are allowed. And I know that that's an issue. Everyone has an issue with those. So that's not allowed with these. There's age limits to purchase on the device and to be used with proper supervision. Sparklers will only be sold during 2 distinct periods, which was right before the 4th of July and right before New Year's. And what's also really important, so last year, just to kind of give you a couple more results, the state took in over $1.3 million in extra sales tax revenue and also state licensing fees. Those state licensing fees, a portion of them go back to fire education as well, so that goes into the community. TNT Fireworks has a nonprofit fundraising division, and in the state just last year, we had over $2 million raised by local nonprofit groups that set up sparkler locations, temporary locations, teachers, nonprofit groups. They made over $2 million just by selling this product, which they can now, if this passes, be able to do in your county as well. And it's about an economic impact to this county, which would mean about $116,000. So it's a decent impact, an extra income to your county. And I think that's, if you have any questions, otherwise, that's all I have.
Mr.
If you're
Lattimore?
able to, I'm sorry.
Well, we
Mr.
can take a
Chairman,
couple.
Sorry.
for those of us who did attend the Association of Counties, her booth was the most visited booth. They had great information. It's always a pleasure to see this pass. I think Mr. Foley was chair of the group, right, Mr. Foley? Aren't you?
So-
I was only there for the fireworks.
Mr. Didio?
As you know, Mr. Chairman, the privilege of the floor is for the speaker to give us information. It's not a question and answer period,
Yes, that is normally the case.
unless you want to, chairman's free to do whatever, and
Yeah.
I'll stand behind that.
Thank you. Yeah. And just to be clear, this is a privilege of the floor, but a comment on the law, and that's the reason I decided to allow a couple of questions. But you're absolutely right. We normally do not allow the questions and answers during privilege of the floor. Thank you. Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, is there anyone else who wishes to speak at this point on the local law?
No.
Okay. In that case, there will be an opportunity if anyone decides later that they want to speak on the law. But at this point, let's move on to the portion of the agenda alluded to by Mr. Didio, which is the privilege of the floor. So I think there are a number of people who signed up thinking on the law, thinking this. But I know, Mr. Didio, you have someone you want to introduce, or? Oh, Mr. Lattimore, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, Sidney Gilmore lives in Mr. Pinckney's district, but I'd like to call on him. He had a few remarks in regards to the public safety building in maybe the, he was at City Hall and I ran into him and I said maybe his comments might be well heard at the
Okay.
podium.
Thank you.
My name is Sid Gilmore, I'm in Paul's district, and I am a registered Democrat, if that makes any difference one way or the other, but I guess my biggest concern was looking at this, what the city is doing going forward. I was involved in the Union Springs School District with looking at the census data and looking at the demographics for the county and looking at the changes in the population and so on. And my biggest concern is looking at what's happening and the population decreasing. I don't see how we're going to be viable without cutting some costs and merging some services and doing some things to possibly consolidate with the city or consolidate with the towns. And my biggest concern, looking at a $30 million project in the middle of town, which is going to add or replace storefronts with more storefronts, is the same concern that I have with even the Plaza of the Arts, where we're losing people because we don't have the foot traffic and we don't have the, I guess, ability to sustain the businesses we put in there. I guess I'm trying to ask the legislature how we can sustain a project as big as what they're talking about with the current public safety building change. And that's going to impact each of us. Even if I don't live in the city, my water bill's going up, the trash fee is going to go up because they're going to have to raise the revenue somewhere. And it's going to affect each one of us in a lot of different ways. And my concern is there are ways that you could reduce costs significantly by consolidating services. The same way that Union Springs had to drop a building, we're going to need to do something with the current average income in the city in the area being $30,000 a year, and the current population dropping from below Civil War levels, unfortunately, in the city of Auburn. And I just don't see how that's sustainable for us. I guess that's my concern.
Great, thank you. Okay, if it's agreeable with people, since people did sign up to speak, it's agreeable, I'll just take this list at this point. So Kathy Lawler,
Good evening, everybody, legislatures. I'm not good on public speaking, and I'm kind of ignorant of how the chain of command works with your legislature versus our towns. My family's been rebuilding for, a couple years now, starting a new life after we lost our home. And right now, the town of Brutus is on our case. We've got personal belongings that are on my aunt's land, and the town of Bruce wants it removed, else they're gonna fine my aunt $100 a day. And I thought I was presenting this to the legislature for them to understand what I can do, what can you help us with to help me get these personal belongings off the land. The town of Brutus is saying it's trash, it's not trashed. They did blame it to say it was the DEC that was doing this by the code enforcement officer, which I called the DEC and I said, they had nothing to do with it. Moving forward, I talked to Mark Farrell, and I think we're going to jump on board and maybe be able to present to the town of Brutus this issue and see if there's a resolution. I did come to the legislature to see if there's any assistance to help us remove this. I need storage somewhere for this personal property that was ours that we couldn't find storage for. And I guess that would be it then. Okay.
thank you. And I think Mr. Farrell is going to be working with you on this.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you both.
Okay, I'll ask again if there's anyone who wants to speak on the law. In that case, Melissa Flask, did you wish to speak? Oh, okay, great. And Donna Adams, Miss Adams, or Mr. Adams, I'm not. Oh, okay, that's fine. Well, I thought there were a lot of people who wanted to speak. And for a moment, I thought, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's fine.
You scared him.
So, Diane, did you want to speak, or were you just signing it?
I'm just saying.
Okay. Man, we're going right through this list. And Susan Sauerman? Sharman?
Also, when all else fails, Chairman, it pays to read the instructions.
Okay. Are there any other legislators who wish to request privilege to the floor? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. Minutes for approval, 2/23/16.
Motion to approve minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Thank you. Okay. Anyone object? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Dr. Duran. Oh, for a minute there, I thought maybe you just had signed in.
Sorry, I forgot about protocol. Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Just briefly, in addition to the written report that I provided, the spring semester, this time of year is our beginning of our budget cycle. I know that you just kind of finished yours for the year, but we're in the kind of infancy stages of developing our budget, looking ahead for next year. Our fiscal year, for those of you that may not know, begins actually September 1st. We're also been working really for a number of years now, but specifically over the last couple of months in preparation for our accreditation review. I think I mentioned it before to this body. Our 10-year review is scheduled for a site visit of our peers at the end of April. So we're going to be really focused on that over the next month and looking for a positive visit. In addition to that, certainly with new leadership, we've been really focused this year on planning. And it sounds like we're developing many different plans. And simple question is, what are you doing? But really what we're focused on at the college right now is kind of our intentionality. I think it's, you know, as we look at our resources, we look at our future, it's important for us to really zero in on the opportunities both in academic affairs, enrollment planning, student affairs, and just long-range planning in general. What is it that we look to achieve? What is the purpose? And how do we kind of streamline our efforts to really see what we can affect in the best way? So this year is a lot of internal conversations, certainly being new that we continue to have, but ultimately starting to really map out what our future can look like that will be rolling out in long-range plans in the coming weeks. So this past month, our Board of Trustees approved a long-range academic affairs plan focusing on teaching and innovation and learning and our student success outcomes. In the coming weeks, in the next board meeting, we'll be looking to actually present a long-range enrollment plan and recruitment. So that's really what a great deal of our work is. We focus on the middle states and really aligning what our initiatives are with our Cayuga 2020 strategic plan that was adopted earlier this year. So that concludes my formal report, and I'll look to give an update on our accreditation visit in the May meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Lattimore.
Doctor, I think you have one of your trustees with you tonight.
I do, Dr. Stankus, thank you.
Dr. Stankus, good to see you. And I know we had a meeting earlier, and I had indicated that you know, some of the solar sustainability issues with Cornell University, Cortland, Ithaca, you know, we could have been light years ahead of them, but you know, we're trailing again. But hopefully we can put up a couple projects that lower your energy bills and
Yeah, you know,
reduce your carbon
I'm learning about our
footprint.
history, as you know, as I kind of onboard here, and as we look at our future, you know, certainly the areas of energy, how it fits into our academic programming, and as we talked about earlier, really from the college perspective, we need to shape what that looks like from us programmatically and support-wise, and then how we align with partners to achieve, you know, and our actual footprint itself with geothermal and others, we have the advantage of the college itself. But how do we affect a resource here as a community? So we'll continue to look at it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, committee reports and individual legislators' reports.
I have a couple things to offer. The Owasco Lake Watershed Management and Waterfront Revitalization Plan is wrapping up. Ecologic Consulting had its last public presentation on February 29th at BOCES. I just wanted to, as I have, you know, kind of just jumped on board with this, I really want to commend the following for all of their work in compiling and analyzing information on the watershed. The Owasco Lake Management Council, Cayuga County Planning and Economic Development, Cayuga County Department of Health, Cayuga County Soil and Water, AULA, the Watershed Inspection Program, and the Finger Lakes Institute at Hobart and William Smith Colleges. I think you guys have all done a tremendous job, and I'm really happy to have jumped in and been a part of this. The next thing I wanted to update was about the town in my district, the town of Senate. They're very appreciative of the alternative offered by the Department of Corrections with their their planned gun range, the rifle range in Senate. They look forward to understanding the design, and they're hopeful for a zero noise impact to the residential areas and the town park that surrounds the Franklin Street Road site. I'm going to continue to support Senate with this issue. That's all I have to offer.
Thank you. Mr. Baxter.
Yeah, I'd like to just mention soil and water. Our debt has been brought up to date at this time, and the light off of the digester is scheduled for May. So we are moving forward, and it's looking brighter than it has.
Yeah, great, thank you. Mr. Foley?
Yeah, just a couple of notes. I'm glad that we heard that proclamation tonight from this body here. I was with that group, Harriet Tubman Center for Peace and Justice, and we were able to get that proclamation passed with the city of Auburn as well. They passed that, and I'm very fortunate to be able to hear. And hopefully going forward, we are able to take what they said and use it and include everyone in things that we do. That's one. Two is moving on to the tourism board. Next month, we will get their audit. They will be presenting it to planning. They also have a strategic plan that they will be bringing up and showing us what their plan is for the next 5 years, I believe it is. Thirdly, just some programming notes for government operations. Sue Dwyer has agreed to host anyone that would like to take a tour of her department down on the first floor at 5 p.m. on the day of government operations. I believe that's April 5th. It should last about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll have our regularly scheduled meeting at 5:30 back in caucus room. Another thing that's on the agenda, which should be wonderful, is I was contacted by Dana L. West High School in Port Byron. They have students there that are working to designate sweet corn as the official New York State vegetable. They would like us to pass a resolution urging our state representatives to support them. I think that's great, but I have talked with other people who think it should be onions. So I just want to let people know that
The
that's
battle
coming.
of the vegetables.
Yeah, right. I think that's about it. Also, government operations, actually on a more serious note, government operations will be discussing 5 revenue options that Sue Dwyer has talked about. We discussed them a little bit at Ways and Means, and I think we are going to dive into them more in government operations. I just want to let know legislators that weren't at Ways and Means that please bring any questions because they are important new revenue options.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Lattimore.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to thank City Hall for having the Irish flag raising. Mr. Foley was there holding his proud flag, and Aileen Coleman was there with the rest of the McNabbs. It was, I think we were outnumbered.
Get used to that.
A lot of McNabbs there, but anyways, it was a proud moment for the Irish, and it was very nice. Also, I attended the regional board, Planning and Economic Development Regional Board in regards to the solar. And we had people in from all over the country, and Boulder, Colorado, and everything else. And, you know, I think the city is moving forward in regards to taking the old landfill, which is 50 or 60 acres, and hopefully solarize it. And, you know, with the governor's new programs and net metering and what have you, reduce everybody's operational costs for the city. And hopefully we can do the same in maybe it's soil and water and some of the other open areas that we have, reduce our carbon footprint. But it was a big meeting that Chris Kirk had. It was excellent. Was well attended by the country. So hopefully we're moving in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whip.
I just want to take this opportunity while it was fresh in my mind to ask Mr. Duckett if maybe somebody from Building and Grounds could oil Mr. Vitale's chair.
I'm sorry. You made me snort. Mr. Didio.
Yes, I have a short report from our OASIS committee at the Cayuga County Community Service Board Subcommittee, Alcohol and Substance Abuse. I just want to report that begin with CHAD, Confidential Help for Alcohol and Drugs, report by Kevin Hares, the Executive Director, that there are 300 enrolled clients. There's several things that are going on last month and planned for this month. Kevin also has been advocating heavily with our Assemblyman Gary Finch for a crisis center. So we'll see where that goes. Our drug court, the report is over 100 people in all the courts. Felony drug court enrollment is at 50. with 2/3 opiate dependent. 2/3. Okay.
Got it.
Let's move down to Grace House. For those that are not aware of Grace House, it's a halfway house for people that are counseling dependent, been through programs, and now that are on the street and living there, hopefully preparing for employment and staying clean. You can, one person that does get in will be able to stay there 4 to 6 months for the complete program. It's a 24-hour-a-day, 7 days a week program. The community mental health program, the Drug-Free Coalition application is in process and due for submission, and it was submitted, correct? Right? Yes. We knew that. All right, so we're going to receive a little bit more money, not a lot, but a little bit more. The Cayuga County Jail, we didn't have the arrest records for the month of February, but we will get that. We do get a great update from the jail from Under Sheriff Jim Stoll. He does a fantastic job. I don't know how he does it. Anyway, there is Vivitrol is another super medication that can be of benefit to the opiate addicted person. So this particular medication, we're working on that to get it into different areas. It will work. Down the road where, I don't know. What else did we have? Just on the community report, there's a lot of community support group packages available, information that it is available for people that are interested. All people should be interested. If you don't know this, there is an epidemic currently taking away many people. So the Heroin Anonymous sponsors is a soup cut-off kitchen Friday. That was Friday on March 4th. I think the next one will be in the first week of April. And anything else that comes up, you call Ray Bazzari at Mental Health. He has all the answers.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just to follow up on that, I have spoken to Schumer and Catco in regards to maybe taking one of our shock camps in Butler and maybe using that as a facility, since Kraus has got so many people waiting in their list. I think that would be a good option. And also, I don't recognize the legislator at the end with Mr. Mahonik. Maybe introduce that young person.
This is my last term, so I figured I'd start mentoring my replacement, potential replacement. It's my son, Ryan.
All right, Ryan.
Okay, thank you. Any other reports from committees, legislators? Okay, thank you. Madam Administrator.
Well, good evening. You have my report, it's in the box, but I did want to add a couple of things. One is that, unlike what my report says, the department head meeting for March will be held at 9 a.m. on March the 31st here in the chambers. That was a request by the department heads, and so that's when we're going to have it. Mr. Batman and myself will, well, I always attend, but Mr. Batman will also attend. So, also, I think I mentioned that the Employee First group had put together a county newsletter that they wish to publish quarterly, and the first issue is coming out right at the end of March, beginning of April. And so it's pretty exciting. I have read the newsletter, so you should be sure and catch the interviews that are in it. You'll get an email when it does come out with a link that will take you to the newsletter. Andrew Hawkins was turning pale at the thought of all the bandwidth we were going to suck up by sending out the newsletter. I assured him, no, it was quite fine. We could just do a link. So be sure and click on it, though, so you find it. So, and that's my report. You have in the box should be the financial report. I would mention that the percentages there are percentage of actual. I went through some explanation at Ways and Means. Don't try to total the percentages because it won't work. They are percentages, for instance, in the 2014 collected. If you look at the sales tax, it says 10.3% of actual. What that means is that number, $2,274,097, represents 10.3% of all the sales tax that was collected that year, to give you an idea of the relative pattern of collections. So if you have any questions about it, be sure and see me afterward. Accountants are always thrilled to answer questions about accounting. So.
Thank you. Any questions for the administrator?
So this sheet that you passed out at Ways and Means, everyone's got it now?
Yes, it was in the, I believe it was uploaded in a box.
Okay.
Amanda's nodding her head.
Yes.
Okay.
Other questions? Oh, I'm sorry. You're not finished.
So did you,
For me.
you know,
Oh,
we
did I-
discussed like the whole overtime issue there and everything. Did you give any explanations for any of that yet, or no?
No, I have not. I apologize. I should have brought that to this meeting, but no, I will do that though.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, great. So, my report. I just want to mention and check in. I did send an email about the signing addendum for a non-critical piece about insurance on a contract. In general, my plan is that if there have been these kinds of non-critical things have been signed in the past, there are simply minor adjustments to something. I will not bring them to the body unless the body wishes me to do so. The past practice has been these kinds of things just get signed so they don't go through committee and take committee time. That'll be my plan. If you want to do it differently, all you got to do is let me know, though, moving forward. Okay, we continue negotiations with our two unions remaining with our contracts, the custody officers and the nurses. Those progress, but we're not ready for any kind of report or resolution. The manure working group met this month and actually took the next steps in implementing the 14-point plan, so that's progress moving forward. Speaking of soil water, I met with Wayne Bishop on the digester, and and there was partly I'd met him in the past, but it was partly an opportunity to sit down and speak more one-to-one in detail. And I expect we'll have some information from him in the future, and perhaps an additional proposal moving forward. So that's something to keep in mind in terms of the activity at soil water and the transition of that digester program. The state of the city-county is coming up next Wednesday, the 30th, and I think that's at the Holiday Inn. Is that right? So and I think it starts about 11:30. It's an opportunity, as I understand it, to be very entertained while getting some very interesting information. Or is that not the case? It's your presentation. Yeah. Oh, so I'll just send a copy of what I'm going to say, save you all a lot of anxiety and pain. So, but no, that's in all seriousness, that's next Wednesday, the 30th. Following up on something the administrator mentioned, the chairs met last week to talk about the budget as a group among themselves, and from that, they requested that Suzanne and I meet with them to continue that conversation. That's a great step forward. I think it's the first time it's been done where the department heads are getting together as a group to really talk about what needs to be done, how we need to move forward, areas we can share recommendations they may have for us. So that's a very, very positive move forward. And I personally thank them for taking that initiative. And I think that the sheriff was instrumental in kind of getting it going. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. So that's my report. Does anyone have questions of me?
Mr. Chairman, can we invite our representatives at the state, our senators and congressmen, and to come here so we can ask them things that we might want them to do in Albany for us, such as the scaffold law? I know that that's very detrimental in regards to the cost of doing business in the state of New York. I'd like to see maybe an invitation to maybe at this meeting or a special meeting so that we can actually task them with some of the issues that we want them to resolve in Albany?
Yes, actually, Mr. Pinckney and I are working on just such a meeting.
Good.
It's a good idea.
I like your thinking. Good idea.
So any other questions? Mr. Didio?
I don't know if the working group, we had 5 areas of concern for the working groups, and we added chemical dependency. I'm heading up the chemical dependency working group, and if any legislator cares to be a part of that group, just let me know. I can reach by email.
I'm making a note. Thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you very much. And
Mr.
think
Chairman, I
next
don't want
meeting-
to belabor, but on the manure management thing, which is a very important issue with our clean water, I have spoken to Maureen Reister at CETA in regards to getting in touch with Mike Lavelle, who's got a
Yes.
process that, and hopefully we can push that sooner than later. He'd like to be able to develop a manufacturing spot in the Northeast, so.
Yeah, it'd be a win-win, wouldn't it? Yeah, and I know she's actively moving forward with that.
Good.
So, and I think next month, Mr. Didio, and thank you for bringing that up, I think next month makes sense to have kind of an update on where our working groups are, and so we have this other on chemical dependency, so if anyone's interested in that, please get in touch with Mr. Didio. Great. Anything else for? Thank you. So appointments and reappointments, could I have a motion to accept the appointments and reappointments as presented?
Okay. I'll move.
Okay, and second, Mr. Dennison? Okay. Is there any discussion, questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay. We have, our public hearing's been open about 35 minutes. Is there anyone that wishes to speak before I close the public hearing on the sparkler law? Okay, in that case, the public hearing is closed. Communications announcements. Could I have a motion to waive the reading? Mr.
Move it.
Didio?
Second.
Mr. Foley, thank you. Did we vote on those?
On what?
The communications, we don't have to vote on those.
Nope.
Good. Okay. Our monthly resolutions. Mr. Farrell.
Mr. Chairman, Ways and Means would like to present regular monthly resolutions 1A and 1B.
Anyone have any questions on these? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Health and Human Services.
Mr. Chairman, Ways and Means would like to
Oh,
present
sorry, I skipped Ways and Means, forgive me.
WM1. It is a settlement issue, was discussed at Ways and Means and approved at Ways and Means. I'd like to present it.
Okay, any discussion on these or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman, WM2 was discussed at Ways and Means, but was not a resolution at the time. I'd like to present it for a second.
Okay, we have a resolution, a motion, a second by Mr. Whitman. Okay, is there any discussion on this?
Mr. Chairman, I will need to abstain from this resolution.
Okay, please note that, so we have an abstention. Okay, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Thank you. Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Health and Human Services had 9 resolutions. At this time, I'd like to bundle 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8, unless anybody would like them separated.
Actually, could we have, could we pull 7
And 8.
and 8? Okay, so we're bundling 1, 2, 4, and 5.
1, 2, 4, and 5,
Is that
okay.
correct? Okay. Are there any questions or comments on these? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. The, so number 7. Ms. Webb?
If I may, I'll comment on 7, 8, and 9 altogether.
Okay.
I wasn't at Ways and Means. I see HH 9 got tabled at Ways. My only concern was that my understanding how this process would work in committee is that HH 7, 8, and 9 would all need to go through for the whole plan to work. So my only concern is about the one being pulled, and will everything still function the same? I'm not sure why it was pulled. I guess that's my question.
Yeah. Ms. Farrow, you want to address that, or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. I think that the reason it was pulled is 7 and 8 are part of a plan that won't work without the two together. 9 is in some respects a separate action. It's not totally independent, but it's not dependent on 7 and 8, nor are 7 and 8 dependent on 9. And the issues are a little different than the other two. Ms. Farrell?
I just believe, Chairman, as a follow-up, HH 9 was going to need further discussion and then discuss before it could be presented again.
Right. Okay. Does that address your question, Ms. Whitman?
Yeah.
Okay. So on HH 7, I think there's an amendment. If I could have the amendment. I think someone has a amendment to the attorney's salary to offer.
Yeah, I'll make the amendment to 20, is the number there?
Yeah, it's it's 72,984
Up to 72,984, not to exceed.
Could we have a second on the amendment?
Second.
Thank you. So that amendment simply adds the words "up to." So instead of setting the salary at 72,984, it allows the salary up to 72,984. So is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the amendment passes. Now, on the revised motion, is there any discussion on that, on HH 7? Okay, all in favor? Oh, wait. Okay, opposed? Okay. HH 8? So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. And I think that's it, Mr. Bennett? Did I miss something?
No, that's it.
Great,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman.
Government operations?
Mr. Chairman, Government Operations, I would like to present GO 2, 3, 4, 5 for your consideration.
Okay. Is there any objection to bundling GO 2, 3, 4, and 5? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Okay. And planning?
Oh,
we have one more.
Oh, you do?
GO6.
We have GO
Wow.
6.
My
This was
glasses.
added today. Do you want to take care of it
Oh,
now? or
yes,
do you-
thank you. Yes,
Okay.
forgive me.
So, there were some issues, we've been discussing, OpenGov, using OpenGov software as a tool for the county for a couple of months now, at Government Operations. We have finally received some additional information, and I think the resolution can be brought forward tonight. Suzanne has that additional information, and she can share more details with that, so I'll let her,
Okay.
share.
However, before we do this, could I have a motion and a second so that we can discuss it?
I will.
Okay. Mr. Forrest, a second?
Second.
Mr. Lattimore, whomever, thank you. Okay, now, if you could explain.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vitale.
It was not expected to be on this agenda. I was going to bring it to government ops in April. However, some information came forward. As I was doing the resolution for April, the new pricing in the proposal to go to accompany that resolution, the pricing was considerably higher than what I had been saying to the Ledge about this, and I was surprised by that. I called Mr. Cheney, and he said that they had new pricing based on their entry into a contract with the General Services Administration, which is a purchasing agent and cooperative, however you want to describe it, for the federal government. And so in order to do that, they had to revise their pricing, and he said that they would not be able to make, any arrangements with individual counties at that time. That takes effect April 1. And so I said, well, what about in January when you sent the proposal that said $11,000 for an annual fee? And he said that's good through March 31st. So it added some sense of urgency. The actual annual subscription based on the new pricing would be $20,425, which kind of took my breath away. But if the legislature wished to consider this, a purchase of this for a 3-year contract, which was standard prior to this too, it'd be $11,000 a year. They won't honor that. And actually a $2,000 implementation fee, which is one time. So the first year would be $13,000. The 2 succeeding years would be $11,000. The reaction, I did describe some of it at Ways and Means about the department heads. They were mixed. But most people saw it as an advantage. There were some concerns about being tasked with more and more reporting based on the idea that there was so much more information available. But my experience personally in my own office at the time and by others here who have put information online for public to access is that the number of phone calls actually goes down considerably. They weren't anticipating public so much as they were members of the staff and legislature, but it's easy to use, and it is something I think you would find easy to, rather than picking up the phone and calling you at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're wondering how much we spent on paving roads last year, you can find that out. So there you are. I'm happy to answer any other questions, but that is why it's coming up kind of suddenly, so.
Mr. Didio.
My concern is that we push this through today because it's gonna go up, the price, and it's for 3 years. And what in 3 years, what's the price gonna be?
I don't know. I would assume it's gonna be close to the 20,000. I think that you will find, I mean, you all know that I think this is a terrific program. I've said that, and I think certainly my demeanor supports that. But I think you should look on this as an opportunity to try it out at a fairly, in software terms, fairly low price, and then judge for yourselves as to whether or not the utility of the program. I mean, I think you'll find that it's extraordinarily useful. I think the department heads will find that it is extraordinarily useful. I will find it useful because I spent about 5 hours putting together the financial report that you see in front of you because I had to work through Munis to pull out the numbers that I needed in order to do that and do the calculations, and wouldn't be as much each month to keep that up, but it's a substantial investment of time as opposed to this program, which I can do it in once the material is uploaded from Munis, which is a standard monthly operation. Once you do that, putting together the report is about, 10 minutes. I mean, it's a considerable savings in time.
Mr. Lattimore.
Mr. Chairman, as you know or might not know, Mr. Freeman was over at City Hall. I know that some people that are in the audience also attended. The openness in government is a big one. As you know, week in and week out, I'm very concerned about what our IT costs are. But I do feel that the public, with this tool and in helping our administrator work forward with some of her reports, I'm never for spending more money on software or IT. I think we spend a lot of money around here on that subject. But in regards to this program, and the fact that I'm reaching across the aisle and working with Mr. Foley, I think it's important. I will support it.
Thank you. Mr. Whitman.
I think one thing we need to look at here is what we don't have, we won't miss. While it is a really neat tool, and it is useful from a lot of different aspects, we don't have it. We function fine. We have all this information. All it's doing is presenting it to us in a different way. I can make a phone call to Suzanne and get the information. Probably not at 2 a.m. She won't answer. But this is stuff we already have. And I'm really concerned that the cost is doubling before we purchase it. None of our software contracts seem to go down when we renew. They always increase. So we know it's definitely going to increase to $20,000 a year already in 3 years. Probably going to be more by then. And at that point, they're going to have us hook, line, and sinker, and we're going to have it. Maybe we should revisit it then. I mean, when you're looking at $20,000 a year for this tool, we could almost hire a part-time person to compile the information for us. And maybe for another $5,000 a year, we can call them at 2 a.m.
Mr. Mahuda?
Yeah, I think, Tucker, we would have to hire a part-time person. I think that's a cost avoidance that this resolution brings forward. Also, isn't there a cost for Munis reports, which we would be not having to fork over?
That's correct. This would substitute for the report that we had contacted Munis about, and I want to say that the estimate on that was $6,400. It's a static report in a sense that it is not manipulable in the same way that this reporting system is. This is a very dynamic system. You can configure the information that you're looking for in a number of different ways, whereas the Munis report prints out the same each time, whether you are looking for the percentages here that I'm looking for or not. So,
Mr. Denson?
My problem with this is it makes it sound like we were in the Stone Age before this, but we obviously were getting things done. If we do this, we're gonna become hooked on it. And if in 6 or 8 years from now this costs $80,000, we're gonna pay it because we're gonna be hooked on it. This whole trying it is a great theory, but if we try it for 3 years, we're hooked on it. Tell me we're gonna go back to the way we're doing things now, I doubt it. I really do.
Mr. Farrell?
Couple of items. First off, since I've been here, this is one of the things that I really detest is something comes forward and it's like we have to decide right now. That's not the way, and I understand that's the way it is, but that's not the way to do business. I was looking forward to the government ops conversation, be able to have an opportunity to talk to Kelly and some of the other folks to get feedback on this. That's one of the things that was going to be kind of pertinent for me to make a decision on it. Let me ask a couple questions. One would be this figure that we're throwing out of $6,000 or $6,400. Do we see that to be a constant in the next 3 years that we would end up paying for the Munis report?
no, I believe it is a one-time. Mr. Tobin might, is it a one-time?
That particular report, once it's developed, will belong to us, and we'll be able to utilize it as often as we need it.
for one report.
Well, yeah, and if I may clarify, this is not reports, this is one report. And I think what Ms. Tobin is saying is additional reports would have additional cost, but he doesn't know what that would be until he sees what they might be.
And did you budget this money, Suzanne?
There is $11,000 in the IT software budget for this. That was the goal. The other part of it, I confess I was taking from the CARP expenditures that aren't going to be made. That was the journal entry I had.
The other would be this, is during the next 3 years, are you gonna be able to monitor this program and see how much usage there is from the department heads and from the legislators? So if we do have to make that decision in a few years down the road, are we gonna have statistics or some kind of value to show that it is being utilized?
We could certainly do that. My hope would be that it would become sort of obvious, from the activity that would take place, but I'm certainly willing to try and work with each on a regular basis to see what kind of utility they are getting from it. Because that's important. I understand Mr. Dennison's concern about being hooked on it, but you're right, you can't just take it because that's what you've always done. I mean, it's just a different version of that. So you really do need to explore how people are using it and whether it's worth the time. I mean, I would throw out that my 5 hours is worth something, and this can save that for me, so.
Well, there's department heads that I know that will utilize this. There's legislators here that I know that will utilize it, and then there's others that won't. And I think that's gonna be, for those that are gonna be making a decision down the road, is to have some kind of a history to the value that we've gotten out of this
Yep.
for $35,000.
I think that's a point well taken. I might also point out that Kelly is here if you wanted to ask her.
No, this isn't a discussion with staff.
Okay, sorry.
Mr. DeForest?
The one thing that I think is incredible about the product is, I know it's been said, but I think it needs to be said again and again, is if it increases productivity across the board, frees up more time for people to spend time on other things, or creating even more reports. I can't tell you, since I started attending meetings since the election, the number of times when I've seen everyone seated here with a piece of paper that they haven't been able to make heads or tails of because they didn't feel that it was giving them the proper information that they wanted. And, so there's that frustration. And I think it behooves us all, if we sign on to it and do it, to use it, period. And I think that department heads should be encouraging within their departments.
Thank you. Yeah, Ben?
Couple of things. Number one, when we're talking about munis, it ends up with one report, and that's the only report we're gonna get. And if you want more reports, and it's another investment, and you get another report. With this, you can choose whatever report you want. Anybody that goes on there can choose whatever report they want. If you're interested in a certain area, you can go just to that area. And so I think the value, you can't even compare the value. The other issue that I think is important, and I've heard it a couple times, is that, well, what's the price gonna be, 3 years down the road? Obviously, it's gonna be more than $20,000. My short answer to that is, I don't know what's gonna happen in 3 years from now, because in 3 years from now, I would certainly hope that Munis, or one of the accounting systems that we have, would be a lot more interactive. I find it almost appalling that we use a accounting system here in the county, and not just this county, it's all over the state, that is not interactive with the people that use it. It's just unrealistic. And so my point would be is that I think this would get us to the next level of where software and accounting systems will be within that 3-year period.
Thank you. Are there, Ms. Flanagan?
I'd like to concur with with Ben in regards to, I worked with Munis in the city of Auburn, And now with the county, I think that system is terrible. So anything's better than Munis.
So, Mr. Baxter?
Yes, I can see the advantages of the program. Every day we talk about saving money and cutting people's budgets, and we're about to vote on a resolution that we know the cost is gonna double or more than double for the next contract. I guess if this was my job, and this was gonna save me 5 hours every time somebody wanted to report, I'd just buy it myself.
Mr. Foley?
Mr. Chairman, I think just from a productivity standpoint, as well as from a transparency standpoint, we might be missing that, how big of a deal this could be for our interaction with the public, because not only will we be able to use it and get these wonderful reports, but they also will. I think that that's very important. I think, especially with it being Sunshine Week, Sunshine Month in the state, and trying to offer these types of very transparent options to the public, this is a win-win for everybody here. And it does cost money, unfortunately. And whatever happens in 3 years will happen at that time, just like we do with any other contract or software. We will reevaluate it and see if it was worth it, and we can choose to renew or not. That's what happens, so with that, I would like to call the question on this.
Okay, the question's been called.
I request a roll call vote.
Yes. Is there any objection to calling the question? Do we need to vote on that? Is everyone good with voting? Okay, so you could call the roll.
GO6. Set? Yep. Tucker Whitman?
No.
Andy Dennison?
No.
Ben Vitale?
Yes.
Mark Farrell?
Yes.
Paul Pickney's excused. Elaine McNabb Coleman?
Yes.
Joseph DeForest? Terry Baxter?
No.
Joseph Bennett?
No.
Frank Reginelli?
No.
Patrick Mahonik?
Yes.
Timothy Lattimore?
Yes.
Michael Didio?
No.
Ryan Foley?
Yes.
Keith Batman?
Yes.
Passed. Passed.
It's passed. Okay, thank you very much. So, planning, our vice chair of planning, I'm sorry.
You happy now?
Mr. Dennison.
Yes. There's just one resolution, PL1.
Okay, anyone want this separated? So is there any discussion on the PL1? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Public Works.
Mr. Chairman, Public Works has 5 resolutions for tonight. I will bundle resolutions 2, 4, 5, and 7. They have all been through both committees, and I'd like to bundle them and move them forward.
Okay, does anyone want anything else pulled from the bundle? Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Public Works number 3 was revised in committee, and the amendment was not to fill the position until after April 25th. I believe that amendment is part of the resolution now, and I would like to bring that forward as amended.
That's PW6?
No, PW6 is still waiting for an MOA.
Okay.
And so that will be pulled tonight. That'll go back to next month.
My PW3 is the request of the town of Wasco.
Oh.
Do I have misnumbered here?
No.
No, I have it wrong numbered on my, I'm sorry. So number 3 should just be, I'm sorry, I was wrong. 2/3. Number 3 is one for Wasco and needs a 2/3 vote, so I'll bring that forward now.
Okay. Now, and that was modified with the language relating to associated legal or other costs. Is everyone clear on that? I think it was emailed. Okay. This requires a 2/3 vote. Why don't we start this way? Let's do a show of hands, and if that's not productive, we'll do a roll call if that's agreeable. So all in favor? Any opposed? I think we have 2/3. Very good. Thank you. Okay, I think that's it for Public Works? Ms. Vajo?
I think that's it. The one to fill the autumn diesel mechanic position has been moved forward and as amended, and so that's also good at this time.
Great, thank you. Judicial and Public Safety.
Mr. Chairman, we have two resolutions. They have been through both committees, and I would like to offer them as a bundle, unless anyone would like them separated.
Does
Does
a
anyone-
great job. I think he's better than the old man.
Does anyone want these separated? Okay, in that case, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, and I think we're.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Just one clarification. On the town of Owasco's easement, now, are we saying that we are covering the cost of any for that project? Are we?
No, no, all costs would go in the contract, all costs would go to the town of Wasco.
Town of Owasco.
Unless you're offering.
Yeah. So we have Ledge 1.
Yep.
So could I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Bennett? Okay. Any discussion on Ledge 1? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes, thank you. Okay, and I think we need, are we through with business? I've missed so many things.
Yes, we are through.
Okay.
We're through with this.
Then, I think we need an executive session relating to the employment of history of a particular person. I don't anticipate any business after we come back.
Motion to go into executive session?
Thank you.
Second.
Motion executive session, second. Joe? All in favor?
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to executive session.